D-Day, Operation Overlord, June 6, 1944, was the largest seaborne invasion in history. Operation began the invasion of German-occupied Western Europe, led to the restoration of the French Republic, and contributed to an Allied victory in the war. Planning for the operation began in 1943. Planning involved needing to wait for the right time and weather and proper conditions to land. This operation contained over 1.5 million American soldiers alone, 12,000 airplanes, and over 5 million tons of equipment in use. The Allies landed and striked on 6 key points: Utah Beach, Punta de Hook, Omaha Beach, Gold Beach, Sword Beach, and Juno Beach.
Utah Beach was a code name given to the westernmost landing beach of the invasion of Normandy. It was planned to be used as an evacuation beach if the invasion failed. Due to strong tidal currents, the Allies landed 2 kilometers off course. This turned out to be a blessing in disguise. This area proved to work in the favor of the Americans. German resistance was considerably weaker in this part of the coastal defense. Once the beachhead was secured, it was used as a port to unload thousands of men and 800,000 tons of equipment. Also, a makeshift prisoner of war camp was made to hold captured German soldiers, and Theodore Roosevelt Jr., assistant commander of the 4th Infantry Division, famously stated, "We'll start the war from right here," after he and his men landed in this area.
Point de Hook was a prominent headland between Utah Beach and Omaha Beach. 200 men of 2nd Ranger Battalion, led by Lieutenant Colonel James Reuter, were given the task to scale 98-foot cliffs with grappling hooks, ropes, and ladders to destroy the coastal gun battery at the top. They discovered that the guns had already been withdrawn. They later on found the guns in an orchard and destroyed them. The British landing craft carrying the Rangers finally reached the base of the cliffs at 7:10 a.m., approximately half the force started out with. The landing craft fitted with rocket launchers to fire grappling hooks and ropes up the cliffs. As the Rangers scaled the cliffs, the Allied destroyers provided them with fire support and ensured the German defenders above would not fire down on the assaulting troops. After the Rangers successfully scaled the cliff and defeated the Germans, they were to hold the vital ground.
Omaha Beach, 6:30 a.m. The purpose of Omaha Beach was to diminish the Germans' front in Normandy because it was the most heavily defended beach. Strong currents forced landing craft to be delayed and far east, so bombers were delayed. Most landing craft did not make it to shore, and men had to swim up to 50 to 100 yards in water under fire to get to the beach. There was over 2,000 casualties alone with the Germans shooting directly from the cliffs above. Americans were pinned down until American destroyers arrived and provided suppressing fire. As the landings resumed, Americans pressed on, and by noon, Germans began to run out of ammunition, until finally Americans took over the cliff.
At Gold Beach, naval bombardment by Force K at 5:30 a.m. dropped medium and heavy bombs over the beach. The high winds made conditions difficult for the landing craft. DD tanks were released close to shore or directly onto the beach. Therefore, guns in a large area were taken out by direct hits from the cruisers. 2 heavily castellated guns were lightly damaged as they were reinforced with concrete.
Sword Beach, 7:25. British airborne troops arrived with the purpose to set forth an eastern flank in the heavily mined area. Windy conditions and an early tide were a few problems they faced. Later, Canadians and the French would show up in boats. There, Allied artillery suppressed the Germans as they arrived. As this happened, the Germans were surprised at the attack on such a rough area, and many pushed forward to the beach. However, the Allies pushed and fought back and pinned them back through French farmyards and villages until finally, around 5:30, the Germans retreated and the Americans had taken the eastern flank and completed their purpose.
Juno Beach was the second from the east amongst the 5 landing areas of the Normandy invasion. It was assaulted by the units of the Canadian 3rd Infantry Division, who took heavy casualties in the first wave, but by the end of the day managed to wrestle control from the defending German forces. The initial hazard for the invaders at Juno, however, was not the German obstacles, but natural offshore reefs. These forced the assault waves to land later on D-Day morning than desired. The first assault wave landed 10 minutes past H hour, and this delay presented the invading Canadians with a difficult situation. The beach obstacles were already partially submerged, and the engineers were unable to clear paths to the beach. The landing craft were therefore forced to feel their way in. and the mines took a heavy toll. Roughly 30% of the landing craft at Juneau were destroyed or damaged. By night, the 3rd Division had linked up with the British 50th Division from Gold Beach to the west, but to the east the Canadians were unable to make contact with the British 3rd Division from Sword Beach, leaving a gap of 3 kilometers into which elements of the Canadians suffered 1,200 casualties out of 21,400 troops who landed at Juneau that day.